today? And yours?
February 9th.
Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show here on Park City TV. We have got Jax Mariash with us, and she runs. She runs in the mountains. She runs far distances. What's your sport called?
Ultra marathon.
Ultra marathon. What is that?
So technically it's anything past 26.2 miles. And so common distances would be like 50K, 100K, 100 mile. And then I specialize in self-supported stage races. So it's 155 miles across crazy deserts, carrying everything on your back to survive, all around the world.
Wow. What's the most hardcore race that you've ever done?
So I was the first woman in the world to do 5 of these stage races in 1 year. And they were in Chile, China, Africa, Antarctica, and Sri Lanka. And so I would say all of those were just insane in different ways.
That sounds completely
crazy.
I don't know if crazy, but like at the edge of endurance. You're self-supported. That means there's not like that little tent that gives you shade and water, right?
Throughout the day, definitely not. The only thing that the race would provide was a tent to share with 9 others at the end of the day, and then water, and then medical aid, basically, if you were dying.
I see. So essentially, these race companies are saying, give us money, and we'll provide you nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And run that way across like the hardest terrain in the world.
And are you using GPSs, or is it a marked course at least?
It depends. So you don't have to route it yourself. So they're providing like flags, or in Morocco this year it was like these like big posts. But sometimes you're like hallucinating, or you're kind of out of it, and if you miss a marker, you're kind of like going across the Sahara into the
And what
abyss.
is the source of your hallucinations?
Let's see. There was one time in the Atacama Desert, which is the driest desert in the world, in northern Chile, and you go across the salt flats, and so it looks really white.
Oh yeah.
And it was 120 degrees,
Oh my
and
gosh.
I was no shade, totally falling apart, and really hot. And so I imagined that the salt was snow. And just started like playing games with my mind to try to cool down.
Well, in that flat desert and then that heat, I can imagine having, it gives that blur effect.
Yeah, and
on the horizon.
you keep dreaming of water, and it's nowhere close.
And were you worried about, if I was running through something like that, and mind you, I never would, but if I was, I'd be worried about it turning to quicksand or something.
Yeah, that would suck.
You know how when you're out driving the salt flats, you see the car that's stuck out there?
Yeah, and then you're just like, oh.
Yeah, your feet are now in concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would really suck. Well, you feel like that actually. So this year the race was in Morocco. It's called Marathon des Sables. It's like the Super Bowl of stage racing, let's say. There's 1,000 runners that are crazy enough to do it from 52 countries. And on the 50-mile day, we went across so many sand dunes, you just wanted to scream at them. And so if you can imagine, it's 50 miles, it's 120 degrees, and no shade for sure. And it's just like over and over and over these sand dunes, and you just like tread up and then like slog down, but every step it's like you're like going backwards.
I can imagine. I've run off a couple sand dunes, and I can see why you might curse them. One year, just recently, I had, coincidentally, I was in Telluride when the Red Rock or Hard Rock or whatever that one was came through.
Yeah.
And I saw Kylian Jornet come through into town first, and everybody. It was really an infectious vibe because he's, was out front, and it was just uncanny to think about where he'd come from. And we're all wearing really warm jackets, and this guy's just cruising.
He's like half naked.
Yeah. And the clip that he was maintaining was unbelievable. And then I was in Chamonix when the
UTMB?
with the UTMB came through. So I had this mini unintentional immersion in the in your world.
World of Ultra. Those are both 2 majors for the ultra scene. I'm doing Leadville, Trail 100.
Yes, Leadville.
So that's like technically like the race across the sky. So that's August 18th. And then I am scheduled to actually go to UTMB 2 weeks later and do that race. And then 3 weeks later, come back to the States, and there's actually one of 2 stage races here in the States is in Grand Canyon. So it's called the Grand to Grand Ultra, and you go from the north rim of the Grand Canyon to the Escalante Staircase. So same format, it's 155 miles.
What time of year?
That one is September 23rd to the 28th.
Okay. Maybe I'll mark my calendar.
Yeah, you can be at the finish.
So do you run typically in vans?
For sure.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I mean, you got to keep it like they've got some waffle bottoms, right?
And what are your sponsors? What keeps, what supports you throughout your whole?
I do actually run in La Sportiva.
La Sportiva? Oh,
yeah,
they make good shoes.
They're my shoe sponsor, and then Zeal Optics for eyewear, Drip Drop Hydration.
Drip Drop Hydration, what's that?
Drip Drop is awesome. It's basically like an IV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like instant. It's really great.
You put it in your arm?
No, I mean you drink it.
Oh, okay.
You throw it in water, but it has the same effects, and scientifically is proven to have the same effects as an IV. So it's like instant hydration. And they started in the medical world, it's medically backed, and then they started realizing it would be really good for athletes. And I literally would die without that stuff in the deserts. So it's really good as a side note for if you've had a nice, fun night.
I can imagine. Now tell me about Park City. You moved here when?
I moved here almost 2 years ago. I opened a coffee shop.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Stoked Roasters.
Stoked Roasters.
Yeah, so we're on Main Street, and it's all about kickstarting your day or your adventure with a really good cup of coffee. So we have, we roast all of our coffee in Hood River, and then have a tasting room there. And so this is our first expansion.
And is this your only entrepreneurial endeavor, or do you have others?
I have a small marketing agency as well, but I kind of downsize my client base because pro athlete and...
Yes, I understand you have to balance.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It all.
That's why I drink so much coffee.
Yeah, I'm a Red Bull guy personally, but I'm not afraid of my morning coffee either.
Yeah, whatever gets you stoked,
Yep, gotta keep moving. So your marketing company, though, is that you're helping other athletes on their...
I launched that in 2012, and it was to source a marketing platform for like smaller outdoor companies that couldn't afford a big outfit or big agency, and so I could give them all facets of a marketing department, being a one-shop girl, and obviously smaller fees and.
Very
so
interesting.
Yeah.
You must have gone to school. You're very knowledgeable.
I did go to school.
Where did you go to school?
I went to ASU.
ASU.
Yeah,
Fun.
I'm a Sun Devil. I think that's where that desert fix started, I guess.
Yeah.
And the heat, liking to run in heat.
And you're tall. You must have quite the stride.
Yeah, I am 5'10". So long legs, all legs. I think my inseam's like 34.
Oh, really? Well, you think that helps?
I think so. I mean, uphill it's a little bit harder. But downhill you can just really scream.
And what are you thinking as far as what makes a good ultra runner? Is it true grit? Is it technique? Is it training? Is it what's the secret to being a successful runner like yourself?
I think that in the world of ultra, the quote, running is 90% mental and the other 10% is mental is very true. You have to have consistent training. Strength training is a lot more important. And I think, especially in my version, because you're carrying 20 pounds on your back as you're racing and you're sledging across crazy terrain. But I think it's so much of it, especially in 100-mile races or stage races, your mind gets broken down, and if you don't know how to get out of adversity extremely quick, you're really screwed. So you really have to be strong, have positive thinking, and that's the only way you're going to get through it.
Back home, we have a hometown hero, female ultra runner also, is Rory Bozio.
Yeah.
North Face athlete.
Yeah, Rory's a buddy of mine.
Is she?
Yeah, so we're both Jaybird athletes. And so we actually did a super fun camp with Jaybird because they're focusing a lot on the power of the mind. So they took us on this 2-day adventure of just basically almost like breaking down our mind to figure out breathe up methods and positive thinking in order to get through adverse situations very quickly. And so Rory and I were kind of the girls of the group. So it was a fun time.
Yeah, she's a hoot. And Jaybird, they're good people here, right out of Park City, Utah.
Yep.
Jeff Taylor, I believe, is the guy, is one of the guys over there.
Yeah,
and
the crew over there is awesome.
Yeah, and great headphones.
Awesome headphones.
Yeah.
Especially the runs where it's like just like little buds in your ear and no wires.
Yep. Yeah, it's they're I got a pair and I was very impressed. So ASU and then straight to Park City?
ASU, and then I'm a little older than I look. And so then I went, spent some time in Arizona and then back to Colorado where I grew up. And then I ended up through just being a marketing director of Native Eyewear. I was all of a sudden following a guy out to Hood River a long time ago. And so that's where Stoked was born. And then through wintering in Jackson Hole and summer in Hood River, I ended up training in Jackson a lot, but flying out of here.
I see.
And so then just through life transitions and becoming single again, things like that, I ended up really liking it here.
And the what about snow? You got to have some kind of snow endeavor. Is it cross country skiing, ski touring, climbing mountains? What do you
All
do?
that.
All of it. Yeah, crampons and ice axes, or
yeah, get
cross country
gnarly.
skis. Yeah.
I'm not so much into cross country. I like to steeper the better for me. I like couloirs and like raging down really quick. But skimo racing tends to be like an ultra runner's fix sometimes to getting gnarly in the winter. So it's like super tiny skis, like 60 foot underfoot and 160.
There's 60 foot underfoot.
Yeah, can you imagine? Like that
60
little.
millimeters.
Going down like a double black or
Right.
like a really crazy couloir of like that much, like underfoot. And they're like 160. And my like big mountain skis are like 185. And whatever, 127 underfoot, I think is my favorite ski. So it's a lot different.
So what's a wide ski?
Yeah, I like wide.
Are you a sponsored skier or are you?
No.
No.
Yeah, I love the Bent Chetler. That's my favorite.
Chris is a great guy and he makes a great ski every single year.
Yeah, it's my absolute favorite. It can just deal with anything.
Yep. Not lightweight though, but
it's not lightweight.
You're training, so.
Yeah, you figure just like suffer up and enjoy the down.
Now, in the when you're here in Park City, you have like a go-to trail, just like this is my morning run, and.
I live over in Kimball Junction, so I really like the Glenwild Loop. If you want to extend it, Frog's Leap, which is actually more of like a mountain biker heaven trail, is super fun. And then I love Mid Mountain Trail, Crest Trail, like all of the Park City Mountain Resort trails are super fun. And you can pop off of Guardsman's Pass really quick and be in like trail heaven with epic views. And especially for Leadville, you want to train a lot high. Because I think the average altitude's 10.2.
Right. Wild. Well, I'm very impressed with what you've achieved and what you do.
Thank you.
One of those things that I can't relate to. I just think it's just like way out of my league. But thank you so much for coming on the show, the Mountain Morning Show.
Welcome.
And we're going to sign off. Thanks for watching the Mountain Morning Show. I'm your host, JT Holmes. I'll be back tomorrow.